What can I say? Mr. Moffat, I am sorry I doubted you. It was only the other day I saw this meme posted on a forum, and they really hit the nail on the head for why he is such an excellent writer. So without giving my thoughts away too much, here's my review of Listen. We start with this insane shot of the Doctor meditating on top of his TARDIS, and right away we start with something that I don't think has ever happened in Doctor Who. Capaldi has been given a monologue. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall a time where the Doctor has been portrayed as wise and philosophical as this, and this is almost exactly what I was expecting when I heard about an older actor would be playing the new Doctor. Why we had to wait until the fourth bloody episode of the series to truly discover this is beyond me, but the atmosphere that's created by the eerie music, Capaldi's performance and the well-written script is allowing me to truly think about what's going on in the Doctor's head. I would say the use of recycled BBC Nature documentary footage and the CGI sequence with the fish turns me off quite considerably because of what I assume are budgetary reasons, but honestly I'm still more concerned about the creature with a primary function of hiding and its effect on the Doctor's sanity as he calls out in confusion and then just laughs it off. After the title credits, we see a before and after scenario of Clara meeting up with Mr. Pink for a date and doing something regretful as she returns to her apartment. I like this because it immediately identifies that something ill-fated will happen, and like the previous use of before and after in episode 2, it's more interesting to watch than watching all of it consecutively like a soap opera. We then get the bomb drop of why the night went to shit when she pulls the anti-soldier reasoning out of the bag. I personally have never been on a first time date like this with a work colleague, but I'm not so sure your everyday person would bring up that sort of thing at the dinner table. Maybe it's all that wine she's drinking. Clara leaves and bless his heart Danny does the head slam into the table thing again, and I reckon he's in the friend zone right about now. She gets back to her apartment and the Doctor's already there. This is comedic brilliance in itself, but the whole three mirrors thing just had me laughing right away. However, the Doctor then starts claiming she's free, as if he's her second boyfriend, and urges her to come into the TARDIS for a quickie.
Whoa! Hey! Whoa! Hey! Know what I mean? Nudge, nudge! Know what I mean? Nudge, nudge! Nudge, nudge!
The Doctor then starts getting into the juicy, meaty part of the script regarding the dreams, and I'm somewhat opposing his idea that everyone has had the same nightmare. Before I moved to university, I had a bed that was completely touching the floor, so I couldn't hide any boxes or sex toys underneath it. I've therefore never had this nightmare, but now that my bed at uni has space for something to live underneath it, I'm more concerned that at long last I can get this nightmare. However, for anybody who dislikes the dark and has nightmares, this sequence must be fucking horrible. It's keeping me interested, but anybody who hated Blink back in 2007 probably would have turned off the TV by now. Despite the Doctor's creepy attitude to finding what kind of whips and chains and handcuffs Clara hides under her bed, the Doctor tells her not to get distracted from her nightmare. Her phone rings and the TARDIS has brought us to a time that is right, but the location is not. We are in Danny's past, not hers. I thought I'd bring up the whole atmosphere thing again, because the dark setup of people looking for nightmares in a children's home just gives me shivers, and the music is just downright chilling. The next moment that happens makes me grin up to both ears. He uses psychic paper, which I thought may have been forgotten considering it wasn't used much in the Smith years, and we haven't seen it thus far in Series 8. He then questions the caretaker about coincidences, and Clara sneaks into young Rupert's room. I would say that if Clara were male, hiding under a bed with this young boy, the BBC would instantly get sued for insinuating paedophilia. How embarrassing that would be. The most chilling part of the episode then comes to light when the lump under the red quilt appears after Rupert and Clara get out from under the bed. The setup for this is so intense. The shrill violin from the score, the lens flare giving it an almost alien feel, the unknown of what's hiding under your bed really comes to light in this scene, and this is possibly the strongest I've seen Doctor Who cinematically since Forest of the Dead? Blimey, that was like 2008. Having said this, my only complaint about this scene is that the child actor does not look scared as the Doctor claims. He looks more like he's just confused as to what the Doctor is quite on about. However, as soon as they turn their back on the quilt monster, I kid you not, when I was watching this for the first time, I found myself turning round in the deep dark night only to find nothing there. I couldn't believe the effect this episode was having on me. Blink had me in nightmares for weeks, and I don't think this episode will have me in fear, but trust me, there will be members of the audience deep with intensity this evening. The way the camera keeps zooming into the characters, and the way the monster is closing in on them whilst being out of focus is just excellent to say the least. The monster slams the door behind it and the intensity dies down. I feel that once again the child actor lets down the scene slightly when he complains about his bedspread instead of trying to recover from his state of shock.
He took my bedspread.
Oh, the human race. You're never happy, are you?
Wow, it's like he knew exactly what I was thinking. The Doctor then magically knocks out Rupert and we're back in the TARDIS. Clara feels sorry for leaving poor old Dan on his own in the restaurant and we're back in the present. The chemicals start brewing again, but I can already sense that something shit is going to happen because Clara's too stupid to not know when to keep her mouth shut. A spaceman then comes out and beckons her to the TARDIS. He just happens to be Clara's supposed distant relative in the future who was trapped at the end of time. The Doctor then makes up a bullshit story of the TARDIS needing to recharge that convinces Orson to stay for another night, so the Doctor can experience the night terrors that lurk at the end of the universe, to prove his hiding monster actually exists. The wonder and awe I have for this episode is still here, and I'm glad this episode hasn't taken a dip like Into the Dalek did. Consistency is always a good thing in TV shows. Filler and forced action scenes are a massive turn-off for quite a few people. Sorry, let me clarify. Filler and forced action scenes are a massive turn-off for me. The Doctor and Clara then get tired and irritable, as my mum would say, and the noises start occurring. The Doctor then opens the door and we are no closer to finding any answers because the Doctor gets knocked out. Clara travels back in time to the Doctor's past to find him crying in a stable, only to reveal that he is actually scared of the dark. Another interesting factor that I thought I should mention is that you actually have to pass the Academy in order to become a Time Lord. Does this now mean that the species of Gallifrey is Gallifreyans or something? Interesting story arcs are being made, my friends. I will keep watching to see if my queries are answered. It's interesting that the Doctor's dream was actually a reality, where in which Clara grabs the Doctor's leg as a child. This contradicts my theory of not everybody's gonna have the same dream theory quite well, which I'm fine with now that we know that it was Clara's fault the Doctor is overthinking this whole hiding creature. Then we start thinking back through the episode. All the times they made assumptions about the coincidental probabilities that were portrayed as scary will be just pure coincidental noises and movements. Hang on a minute, I hear you ask, what about the lump under the red quilt? Well, that was probably a child too, like Clara claimed. However, it must be a very deformed child from what we briefly saw of it, as well as it being very out of focus. Orson gets taken home and Clara tells Mini Doctor that everything's going to be okay. The entire last 3 minutes is superb in delivering the message that fear isn't necessarily a bad thing. Not only does the music make this whole scene, the hug, the kiss and the delivery of Clara's speech just amazing to watch, but I also find myself smiling like a Cheshire cat. I am just stunned by how well this episode has been crafted. So, did it suck? Nope. I give this episode a very generous 9 out of 10 because the tiniest of gripes I have don't really have much effect on the sheer brilliance of this episode, and I would certainly say this is now one of my favourite Doctor Who episodes I've seen, and my faith in this show has been restored at last!